No.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, it was just for the
Just
calibration.
for the thing to calibration. Okay.
Yeah, because it stitches
Hi there,
it together.
and welcome to Stone Soup Tea
Be
Time.
able to do the three.
We haven't started yet, but you're in the right place. Settle in and have a look around. We'll begin shortly.
Tough one.
Oh my God, I could get lost in there. I do get lost in there.
I love going there all the time.
Such a nice family too.
Yeah.
Our family.
Yeah. That's where I got the teapot actually.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they have everything. You go in there, you want to buy one thing, and come out with like 30.
Oh, I have tweezers and all the different cups and things. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Love it. Everyone find it okay? Yeah. Sorry? Well, you're here, so obviously. Yes. This way?
Rogue is on a bit of a
Okay.
seam, and
Yeah, yeah.
one rogue to be clear.
Not on a seam. That's good. We good?
Is that good? Is that? Can I love it. Can be. Come on.
Depends.
This, you know what this means in my language?
Situation.
Just so you know.
Sorry? Oh.
As soon as we hear the audio track stop.
My face is hurting from smiling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stone Soup Tea Time. My name is Derek Kwan, and I'm the artistic director of our Common Boots Theatre and also the host for Tea Time. And thank you for coming here to Labor of Love on Carlton Street in Cabbagetown in Toronto. And I'm so happy to be with Samira in today,
Hello,
who's our
everyone.
special guest. And this is our ASL interpreter, Rogue Benjamin. And if you're joining us online, Patricia Allison, our communications manager, is just there. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and we'll get to them as we can. So thank you.
Yes.
I wrote a theme song.
Oh,
Do you want to hear it?
yeah.
Okay, I wrote this little silly theme song. Okay,
Do I have to sing?
if you want, but yeah,
don't
you
know
don't have
the
to.
lyrics.
No.
I'll just hum.
Okay, this is my silly little theme song. Tea time, tea time. Come gather round, it's tea time, tea time, tea time. Come join me for a cup. Why don't you pull up a chair and grab a cup? There's lots to share, we'll fill you up. Oh, tea time, tea time. Come join me for a chat.
Oh. Very nice.
Oh, great. It's so amazing to have a little chat today and get together and share our culture and tea. I'm really looking forward to this, all these goodies and things, which we'll explain in a bit. And I just want to acknowledge that we all come from different crossroads. And this place, which is traditionally known as Toronto, which also was a crossroad for trade and many, many people. It's where we are here today in Cabbagetown in Toronto is traditional territories of the Wendat peoples, the Haudenosaunee peoples, and also the Anishinaabe peoples, which include the 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 Mississaugas of the Credit and the Ojibwe. And I apologize, I'm trying to learn more about the land that we live on and trying to put myself in more direct relationship with the actual peoples. So I try to take more time when acknowledging because I say the words, I say the names of the people, and oftentimes I don't know who they are. So I'm trying to learn more about that.
Yeah.
So I'm
We
joined.
all are.
Yeah,
We all
yeah. It's amazing to have that opportunity. I'm joined today by Samira Mohyeddin,
Hello.
who many people know. She's a superstar.
No.
Yes, journalist and producer for the CBC, and you produced a podcast,
Yes, called Unforked.
Unforked, about politics and food, which was really fantastic. And you're also a trained actor.
I am? Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So I want to talk about that. But let's get started with the tea so that we can, motor ahead. So today we're making Persian tea. And what do we have here?
Okay, so I guess we'll start with the tea itself.
Okay.
So Iranians make loose leaf tea, black tea, traditionally. So nowadays you do get some Iranians, and we won't judge you, who use tea bags. So some of these teas also come in tea bags. So if you want to be lazy and just get the tea bag, you can. It doesn't taste as good. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Okay. Even if it's the same tea.
Even if it's the same tea.
I'm sorry.
Oh! People at home, ignore me. Do not listen. No, it's just not the same. Okay? And I think maybe it has to do more with the ritual of it, waiting for it to brew and dam. But it's still good. So don't feel like you're missing out. You're not. So what we use is loose leaf, black tea of any kind. So usually Persian tea is some sort of like an Earl Grey, Ceylon. You'll get some bergamot sometimes in it.
Okay.
Some people will put cardamom and rose petal.
Rose petal.
Yes. Now we're not doing the rose petal today. It's a bit much. I am more of a traditionalist. I like the black tea. I do like a little bit of cardamom, which is what we're using today. So this is Ceylon tea with a little bit of cardamom in it.
Cool.
Not too much, because cardamom is overbearing. It can feel like you've put a bar of soap
I can never get enough of it.
inside your tea.
It's my favorite spice.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I like it, but in moderation.
There's some in the cookies too. I
In
think.
moderation.
Should we pass that around so people can have a...
Yeah, sure. They will have a smell.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
it's little flakes, dark flakes, and it's loose leaf.
Yeah, loose leaf tea.
Has a nice fragrance to it.
That's the cardamom in there. And I don't know how in depth you want me to go, but tea drinking in Iran it's not indigenous to Iran. So tea came to Iran via India in the 18th century. And it came to us from the British. Okay? We didn't get a lot of good stuff from the British, but they gave us tea. And so we started also harvesting in that same time, in the 18th century. So now it's really become a part of our culture, very much so. However, in Iran, there are what are called kahvekhane, which are coffee houses, but in that coffee house, they're drinking tea. One of the many peculiarities of our country. So not to say they're not having tea there, but they're predominantly having, not to say they're not having coffee, but they're predominantly having tea. So this, should I go into the samovar?
Yes, the other interesting thing.
The other interesting thing is this mechanism right here. This is called a samovar. And samovar is a Russian word which means self-brewing. So we took this from Russia. The Russians took our land and we took their teapot.
This particular one, I'm told, is from Russia, from the 70s.
I believe that.
And it's on loan from us from Puppet Mongers.
Which is a theater.
Yeah, the theater company, they make puppet theater. Really fun, yeah.
And they have to have samovars with them.
Yeah.
So this is a samovar, and what you're going to do is you're going to add. Now, I was talking to Derek earlier. He asked me, how much tea do you put for each person? But here we have 18 glasses we're going to make of tea. Usually, you put 1 teaspoon for each person that is having tea, because you don't ever just have one glass of tea. right? Particularly when they're this small.
Yeah.
And you have all these goodies with it, you're gonna go back for 2. So usually you add 1 teaspoon. And that's
So we've
gonna
done
go-
that already.
Yes, so I was telling Derek that in here right now are 18, not heaping, but 18 teaspoons of tea. And you want to put that in there and have that on top of this while the water is brewing. It's almost like releasing sort of the essence of the tea. You know how sometimes you see people pan fry like dry walnuts just to get the oils going and the smells and stuff? That's exactly what we're doing here with this, okay? So there's no time limit on how long. Usually about 10 to 15 minutes just to get those oils and stuff released from the tea.
Great.
Do you want me to add the water
Yeah,
now?
let's do it.
We're gonna add the water. This water was already boiled by Derek. So that's it. See the water? Boiled water coming out into the teapot.
Yeah.
Fascinating. In the old days, these were charcoal. We would use charcoal to get this going. And sometimes you'll see people on picnics, Iranians will bust out the samovar and like stick it in the charcoal.
Do you have like a special
after they've made their
special one?
kebabs. Me? No.
Like for picnic, like it's like a picnic version of the samovar?
I'm not sure. Maybe you can answer that. Is there a picnic version of the samovar? We have some Iranians in the audience today, so. Zohar.
Not now.
Not now, nobody. So you'll see, got
Yeah.
this much tea,
Okay.
right? And we're gonna leave this up here to what we say in Persian, we're damming the tea. And we're
Damming
not
the tea.
damming it to hell or like anything like that. It's the Persian word for, I don't know. Oh, no, it's like brewing, but we use the same word for when we're making rice. We dam the rice.
Okay.
So it's sort of like steaming it, you know? And that'll sit up there for, I would say, if you want to get a good dam, you want about 15, 20 minutes, you know?
A good length of time to brew.
Yeah, you want it to be a nice mahogany color.
So the richnesses of the tea can come
Exactly.
out and yeah.
Now, some people don't like it that dark, and the beauty of this mechanism is that what we'll be doing is that you'll add the tea, then you'll add the water,
Okay.
right? So you can make it however dark as you like. Maybe you like it lighter. Maybe you want to sleep at 9 o'clock, and you don't want to stay up late. Because our tea is all caffeinated.
Right.
You never, as far as I know, there is no decaf Persian tea.
It's just tea.
Yeah, it's black tea. It's going to keep you up. So you're right.
Cool. So we'll put that on for.
Let it dam. We're damming it.
Okay.
Some people add a cozy on top. It's okay.
It's okay. It's still boiling, so it'll keep warm.
Yeah.
Which is great. And let's give it 15 minutes. Is
15
that-
minutes, I think.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, cool. So yeah, I was so interested in hearing about your journey.
To Canada?
Well, just in general, every yeah. Is there a Cold Notes version?
I mean, I was 4 when I came to Canada. My parents came here, landed May 4th, 1979. A couple months after the revolution had happened in Iran. And we came to Quebec, actually, not to Toronto. We moved to eastern Quebec. My aunt had an industrial farm there with like all these cows and there were no pigs. I remember cows, just a lot of milk, and then hay everywhere. There were bales of hay everywhere. And we tapped. She had maple syrup trees. I had a real Canadiana
Wow.
experience when I first came to Canada.
How long did you stay there?
Just a year. My mom couldn't handle it there. Like, we came from Tehran, a city of 8 million, to a town of 500 people.
Wow.
So we lasted there about a year, and then we came to Toronto. And Toronto was very different. So, like, the place was called Drummondville.
Okay.
Drummondville, we camped. The population now is 1,400 people. So 44 years later, the population there is now 1,400.
Wow.
So small town, and you know, we were tapping maple syrup trees and all that stuff. And then we came to Toronto, moved to North York, which is like just outside the downtown core, and that's it really. That's sort of like my introduction to Canada, and here we are.
And what prompted you to go to theater school?
Theater?
Yeah.
It was at high school. It was, I just loved, you know, developing another character and using yourself as a tool to do that. Your voice, your physicality, your memory. I mean, people don't quite understand that when you're doing theater, you are memorizing 400 pages of something, right? You don't just memorize your own lines. You memorize an entire book. And what's fascinating is I can sit here today and still recite things to you
Really?
that I memorized more than 20 years ago.
Wow.
Which is quite wild, right, when you think about
Yeah,
it? Because
I don't have that kind of memory.
I don't know, like some characters that you play really become a part of you, right? And so I love theater, and I remember telling my mom, "Oh, I really want to do this," you know. And it was really after doing The Crucible that I really like fell in love with it most. And my theater teacher at the time, rest in peace, Philip Stanbury, he said to me, "You know, you're really talented. You should try it out for this scholarship to this school in Manhattan, which is the American Musical and Dramatic Academy." And normally it's a very expensive school. Like there was no way I could afford it. And I remember saying to my mom, "I really want to try out for the school." She said, "We do not have money for that. Like there's no way, you know." And I said, let me just audition then. So we went down, and it was up near the Marriott, like downtown Toronto.
Okay.
Went for an audition, and I did the soliloquy from Hamlet, which was from Act 2, Scene 2, where he does the "Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I," and I did it. And then the artistic director of the school, he like rolled down his glasses and he said, "Come here." And I like, you know, I like walked up to his desk and he said, "Don't you ever do that again." And I said,
Why?
"What?" And he said, "Don't ever play against your gender when you're going for an audition."
Sorry, how many years ago was that?
This was 26 years ago. 1995. So
Wow.
what year is it? 20. And my math is really bad. I did not go into math.
Well, of course, last year at Stratford,
20.
we had a...
Right. So that was a long time ago, and you know, at the time I was like, okay, fine, you know, I get it. Theater school was really weird then, because even when I went to theater school, they said, "Okay, well, this is your type. You can be ethnic girl." That's what I was called. You can play Portuguese, Latin, whatever. And
Wow.
this sucks. Like going to theater school turned me off of theater. But I still that I use it in everyday life.
Okay.
Because I really feel like I own a restaurant, for instance, and to me, 5 o'clock hits, everybody hit their place, markers, ready, he's in their costumes. Like, think about theater, I think theater is everyday life. We all, the moment we get up in the morning and put on what we're going to wear, those are our costumes. And I'm sure people don't think, you know, what role am I going to play today? Like when we go for an interview, for a job interview, we take on a certain persona. Whatever we're doing, right? There are many different characters to all of us. We're not always the same person. So I feel like I use it in my everyday life still.
Yeah. In my conversations with people who run restaurants too, I had a friend who was a chef, and we were trading notes about that. And you know, there's a lot of similarity because we have to be on all the time. Like,
Totally.
you know, we have to do it every day. It's iterative. You know, if you're doing theater, you're on stage every night. If you're a cook, you're in the kitchen every night, and you're judged by that dish.
Yep. And if it's an open kitchen, well, then you're being really judged.
Yeah.
You know, like we have an open kitchen, so sometimes when it wasn't busy, like when we first opened, you know, there's like this thing, right? You can't see what I'm doing. Sometimes I just be going like this. Like when you're sitting there, it looks like I'm chopping something, but I'm doing nothing. You know? I'm just like going like this, and you're thinking, "Oh, she's chopping something," you know. But really, there was like no customers inside the restaurant, and I'm like, keep going.
So tell me about the restaurant.
Well, we have an Iranian restaurant. It's called Banu. It's in downtown Toronto on Queen West,
Okay.
West End. We've been there. April will be 18 years,
Amazing.
which is just crazy. That's like 100 years in restaurant years.
Yeah.
And that's it. We serve Iranian food, and we opened it. I mean, I went to after theater school. Came back to Toronto, and my parents begged me to go to university because at the time, going to university meant you'd get a job after. Now that's not the case. An undergraduate degree is like having a high school degree.
Yeah.
And so I went to university, finished a master's in modern Middle Eastern history and gender.
Cool.
And my brother at the time was at George Brown Chef School. And so he was graduating, and I said, hey, why don't you and I do something? We can open a restaurant. And because I worked in other people's restaurants all throughout graduate school, mostly French restaurants. And so we did, and here we are today.
Cool.
18 years later. Some work.
And so let's talk a bit about Unforked.
Yes,
This
my
podcast.
baby. So Unforked was really born out of going to journalism school. So backtrack a little bit. After having the restaurant for 10 years, I started to think to myself, I want to do something else. So I went to journalism school at the age of 38, which was very interesting because everyone else in my class was 18. And sometimes I would walk into the class and they think I was the teacher, or like there was a lot of funny stuff like that going on. But anyway, so I finished that and I got an internship at the CBC. And while I was in journalism school, we had to do a magazine project. And I pitched a food magazine and called it Unforked. And so the podcast was really born out of that magazine because I wanted to explore food in a way that wasn't explored before. This is pre-Anthony Bourdain, I must say. Okay, and looking at sort of what food means to people, right? And how a lot of people rest their identities on it, and the culture and the politics behind it. And so it was really born out of that,
Awesome. And so it's still available online.
It is available online. It was only one season, so there's 10 episodes. I did repitch it to the CBC, but they didn't take it. I'm not bitter about that. But yeah, what can you do?
It's fascinating though. I've listened to a bunch of it and just the intersections of so many different ways that food forms who we are and our politics and how we move through the world. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, and that was also, those episodes were developed out of things that would happen at the restaurant, right? Like we have a salad on our menu called Shirazi salad. It's just a simple diced tomato, cucumber, and onion. And there was this man who was visiting from Israel, customer, and he said, no, this is an Israeli salad. And, and it was really busy in the restaurant. He kept going back and forth. He's like, it's Israeli. I'm like, okay, it's Israeli. You can have it. But I end to say, nobody really owns tomatoes, onions, and cucumbers, right?
Yes. Well, there's a similar salad in northwest China, in Xinjiang, where the Uyghurs are.
Yes.
And in Chinese, they call it tiger salad.
Tiger salad. Okay.
Yeah. So it's very, very much like, we all share those ingredients.
Exactly. And you can trace many things like that, right? Like the Chinese noodles. That's how Italians got their pasta. Like the fork comes from China. All of these things. I think we don't expect people to sit with their food in front of them and think about all these things before they eat. But I think that, if you can sort of bridge the differences, divides among people through food, what better way to do that than eating, right?
Yeah. And like you're saying, certain ingredients that I was doing research on, where did onions come from? Originally. I don't know, were they just everywhere, or did they have a place of origin? carrots, things that we all use in so many different cultures. We know about, tomatoes, potatoes, corn. Those all come from Turtle Island, North America, and South America.
Yeah.
But some of these things that we have all taken on. I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's not indigenous necessarily to the country,
or to anywhere, like Asia, Africa, or Europe, and actually quite a few of them seem to have their origins around the Middle East, from around Persia.
Yeah, Mesopotamia, Byzantine times, and like tomatoes. Like in our language in Persian, we call it foreign. Like the word for tomato. Yes, the word for tomato in Persian is goja farangi, which is like foreign berry. If I was going to do the transliteration, foreign berry. Now, the other interesting thing about farangis, for those Star Trek freaks at home.
Oh yeah.
Farangis were the foreigners. Remember? I don't know if it comes from Persian or where they were using it from. I always found when I made that connection, I was like, wow, farangis.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, in Chinese, the word for tomato translates to foreign eggplant. It's a
Wow.
egg shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're all foreigners, aren't we?
Yeah. In some or other. We're almost at the 15 minutes.
Let me check the color.
Okay.
Let me check. Could I use one of these? May I use my own
Yeah,
here
sure.
as a check?
Okay, so we're pouring the tea to check the color. Ooh, look at the color.
I mean, it's okay. I would make it a little bit darker, but we can use this.
Okay, yeah, sure.
What do you think?
Do you want to pour?
Shall I pour all of these and then we can fill it with
Yeah,
water?
sure.
Let me just turn
Yeah.
this around a little bit.
And then I'm going to put a little bit more water in so it can boil.
Use mine up. Oh, you can't do that now.
No?
No. No.
Let me check.
Because you're adding unboiled water
Oh, to the boiled
to the
water.
boiled water.
Okay. Is there, do you have, in your culture, is there about water being boiled and cooked? Or is there a big, no?
Like, is there a thing with the water?
Yeah, just out of curiosity.
No.
Okay.
I mean, wait. Well, when it's boiled, it has to be boiled.
Right.
You can't add non-boiled water to boiled water and then pour it into your tea.
Okay.
You cannot do that.
Okay.
Because you'll see the difference. Your tea will actually be a very cloudy color. It would not be nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't have a connection. Like the indigenous culture has a connection to water that I think not all cultures have. Right? We don't have that sort of connection.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you want me to do these one by one? Or do you want me to why don't we do them one by one?
Okay.
So you'll see here is how dark you want it, right? But this is a really beautiful sort of reddish mahogany color.
It is a beautiful color, yeah.
Right? And you should never give this to someone lukewarm.
Okay.
Tea should always be piping hot, really hot. One I remember as a kid, I gave tea to my grandmother, sort of lukewarm, and she said, "Why don't you just spit in my face?" Okay.
Just want to show her folks at home the color.
I remembered it should always be very hot. Also, don't leave too much room at the lip.
Okay.
You look cheap. You want to look cheap.
And it's water.
Plus, the Iranians will judge you if you do any of these things. Just other people may not know, but we're very judgy people.
Amazing. I need a samovar at home.
I think these are great things. I think everyone should have one of these at home. And it's a real talker, Yeah, go for it. Are you going to be serving this? Are you going to take it around?
Well, I'll put it on the...
Maybe it's time for you to get married. Are you married?
I am.
You are married.
I'm married for almost 20 years.
Some people in our culture, when someone comes to ask for someone's hand,
Uh-huh.
see, this is a very good one. I'll take this one.
Okay.
Have any tea? Yeah. Sometimes when she comes with the tea, they say, "Oh, it's time to get married." patriarchy
Yeah.
in the mix. Throw a little patriarchy here and there. Pepper and patriarchy. There you go.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. And so, shall I go into these cookies and stuff that we have here?
Yes. So we have, everyone here has a little tray here, and we have these cookies here, which you sent me on a mission to find. They're beautiful. They're sort of very small, clover shaped.
Yes.
And what are they called?
Nun nochochi. So they're really beautiful, small. They've got cardamom and crushed pistachio. They're made out of beef flour.
So they're
So
gluten-free
they're gluten-free, people.
and vegan,
Yes.
and quite delicate.
Very delicate, and you must have this liquid. If you put one of these in your mouth without any
Without-
liquid, it's pretty funny. So you can see here, we're getting to the bottom of our
Okay.
business here. So we're gonna have to add a little bit more water in here, which is
Okay.
fine, no
Okay.
problem. Because it's
So you need a larger samovar.
yeah. Well, this is a very small samovar. This is like a condo samovar. This is for someone who doesn't have a lot of guests over often. The one I have is an 8-liter one. This is 1 liter. 1 liter.
1 liter.
Yeah.
8 liters.
Yep.
That must take up a lot of space.
Well, see, like you can't, like if you had 20 people over at your house,
Right. Well,
you're in
you
trouble
need the
right
8.
now. This is out. So I'm gonna turn
Right.
this off.
Okay.
Do we want to add?
How can I add the water?
You can now add your water.
Okay.
Now, we're gonna,
Water, or is that enough?
I would add, add one more.
Okay.
Normally you don't have 20 people over at your house,
Well, no.
but if you're Iranian, you probably do.
We're running people to gather.
We live together in big groups. Big groups.
I saw actually, speaking of groups, I saw people gathering near College Park yesterday.
Oh, what's happening?
I think it was a march to Square.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's going to be one tomorrow also. There's been one. There have been protests in Toronto for 20 weeks now.
Wow.
In relation to what's happening back home in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
In solidarity with the protesters in Iran. So yeah, that's been going on for a while. And this is not bad thing. This is fine. What you do is just put it back.
Just let it steep longer.
Let's see if it's gonna get really dark. Maybe.
Okay.
Do we want to serve these ones though?
Yeah, we can do
No,
that.
because it's gonna get cold.
Yes, it has to be. I'm going to move these ones off.
I'm just gonna balance it out for you. So that we are.
Thank you, Kata.
Do you have ones that you need?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
So yes, we talked about the. Sorry. Oh wait.
Yeah, well, wait, we got some saffron rock candy here too, for people to stir in their tea if they like. And that will be your sugar element.
And there's also.
There is a
Sugar
sugar cube also. These people will have it first, you can have them.
Yeah.
Always serve your best first, everybody. My mom would be very proud of me. These are beautiful, by the way. Very nice job on this presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah. You sure? Thank you. Are you married?
Yeah.
All
For 40-odd years.
right.
I'm
How
15.
this is what's happening. We're just gonna check to see. A little bit early, but
It's coming.
I would give it like 3 minutes and this is going,
Okay.
then we can try ours.
Can I suggest something? I think
Yes.
the guy around us, they missed this.
Oh, the rock candy. So the rock candy that you have there on a stick, you can swirl that around in your tea.
And that will sweeten it.
That will sweeten it. So this is saffron rock candy. You don't have this at home. Sorry. You can buy these in your Iranian grocery store. It's a beautiful thing to look at, even very sort of diamond life.
It's very
And this is really fancy, okay? You don't always have saffron rock candy with your tea.
How about the
And then you have there is a sugar cube along with it. These aren't your regular sugar cubes that dissolve instantly when it hits liquid. This is raw sugar. Again, you can find these in any Iranian grocery stores. And some people will take this sugar cube, put it in between their teeth, like this, under your tongue, and you drink the tea with the sugar cube in your mouth.
sweetens
and
as your drink?
It will not dissolve. So you can see here, this is still in my mouth. If I was sipping the tea, I could finish this glass with the tea, with the sugar cubes still in place in my mouth. Now I have a cube of sugar in my mouth and no tea. I'll wait.
Okay. Well, there's garbage
put
there
it-
too.
That's okay. I'll put it. Why waste a good sugar cube? I'll put it on a spoon there.
Amazing.
Let's
That's-
see what's happening.
there.
Nope, not.
Right.
A watched sour never boils. How is it? It's good?
So nice.
Good. Nice. And the cookie too. Added bonus.
Yeah, that was. I went all the way to Shirin Sara.
Shirin Sara. I love that place. They've been around for 42 years. The owner changed, I would say probably 5 years ago. They just got old and they were like, we're done. And the new owners have really put their own mark on it and kept the tradition going. So it's a beautiful bakery.
Yeah, and there was a place to, if you wanted to have tea there.
Yes, yeah. You can sit down.
Yeah.
Old location was just pure takeout. So now, shameless plug here in Nisaro for those who are in Toronto. I'm not getting paid to say that.
It was really fun to go.
Yeah.
It took all my willpower not to pop one of these in my mouth.
Just gonna check this one more time because I can hear it. Sometimes you can hear it brewing too. You don't have to. We're good.
Oh.
Yeah. So let me pour you one here. This is mine. Would you like some tea?
I'm okay for now.
Okay. Oh, I see. How dark do you like it? Is that a good color for you?
We got one more here too.
Oh, one more?
Yeah, one more
One
in the back.
Oh, one more back. Okay. Me, I'm speaking Persian to the people in the front.
How many languages do you speak?
Just English, Persian, a little French. I have it still left over from the Quebec days. There we are.
Can you?
That was for the person in the back.
Yes.
Sorry, Derek, you were saying. Can I what? That's yours.
Thank
you. Oh, let me give you some cookies.
Thank you. I'm going to try with the sugar. I'm really interested about that.
One more?
Yeah.
Thank
you.
It's like I'm back in the restaurant.
Mm.
Sorry. Oh, I'll bring this over.
Yeah. Oh.
Beautiful. this.
Mm. Mm.
Yes. You can. Let's hope there is still some.
Sugar to her mouth.
See? Don't bite it.
Mm.
I'm going to give you a light one. Such a beautiful color. Is one of these for you?
Yes.
Great. I'll give you a little bit of a lighter one. Not bouncing off the walls. Mom will not.
Appreciate
Okay. See, now if people wanted another one, you're in trouble.
Boil the water again.
Liter. Okay, there we go. You got it?
Pardon me.
Or you just sit there all day. I just I'm boiling, I'm boiling, I'm boiling up. That's why when you're like 8 liters,
It actually goes fast.
it goes fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I don't usually put the sugar in my mouth and do that. That's like not everybody does it. But I will use these just because I don't have this on.
Oh, I'll try that too. So I wanted to ask you, from our conversation, you've used the Iranian,
Yes.
and Persian,
Mhm.
and then I think Farsi.
Very rarely will I ever use the word Farsi.
Okay.
Because Farsi is the Persian language for the word. It's actually a huge pet peeve of mine. And I'm so glad I'm saying this to an entire audience. The term Farsi is the Persian word for language. So it's similar to if you and I are speaking English,
Mhm.
and you were German,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked you, what language do you speak? You wouldn't say, I speak Deutsche. You would say, I speak German. If you were Spanish, you wouldn't say, I speak Espanol.
Mm-hmm.
You would say, I speak Spanish. So Persian is a language
Mhm.
and a culture.
And how does that differ from the term Iranian?
Iran is a country. It has many different languages and cultures in it. So
Okay.
there are Kurds, there are Azaris, there are Baluch, there are Iraqi, there's some Gilani, Iran is very regional. So there are many different cultures in it.
Mhm.
There's Iranians, there's Jews, so different religions, different cultures, different languages, and there's different dialects too. Like if you live in parts of Iran, I speak Persian fluently, but I won't know what people say in a certain region. I wouldn't understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's that different.
It's a multilingual, multiracial, multicultural country.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's portrayed as being this sort of homogeneous place,
Yeah.
it's not.
Well, that's one reason I asked, because I'm of Chinese heritage, and in English we don't have a term for that. To differentiate between ethnicity, culture, a nation or country, a political entity.
Uh-huh.
So, and because I hear so many different terms for Persians, that's why I asked, because it's
I guess,
interesting.
to be honest with you, I think that a lot of it is also political.
Mhm.
A lot of Iranian people don't refer to themselves as Iranian because they don't want to be, I guess, like lined up with the government.
Mhm.
So especially in the 80s,
Mhm.
you had a lot of people saying, "Oh no, I'm Persian," but we're all Iranian, whether or not we speak Persian or we're Kurdish or whatever, we're all Iranian.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of people, they sort of shy away from calling themselves